Everyone, this is Maricia Anglade and
Ralph Heaven Schiller Anglade.
and we are.
God's power couple.
Thank you everyone for all the comments that we've been getting and messages and people just seeing us at church and commenting on the video that we did before. We are empowered to do another video. This one is going to be the topic of submission. Yes, submission. I got a revelation about last week, about 2 weeks ago, baby, and regards to submitting. And it's like, woosah, when I broke down the scriptures and studying what it means and how I'm supposed to apply it in our relationship and how I'm lacking that in our relationship, I was like, oh my goodness, every woman should know this. And there's a part also that the man should know. We're going to touch a little bit about that, but I was actually wanting to reach out to the women because of my revelation. But I'm going to ask Ralph a couple of questions. And there are so many scriptures to go into. I'm going to probably type it in, but definitely one of the scriptures was Ephesians 5 that talks about women submitting to her own husband and the husband loving his wife. So God is giving us specific instructions as it relates to husbands and wives. And without us following those instructions, it can cause uneasiness, frictions, chaos, unanswered prayers, because God has requirements for us. And in 1 Peter 31, it also says that because I did ask God, I said, okay, I'm learning this submission thing because I think sometimes I'm in the ring with Ralph and he probably feel like he's fighting Mike Tyson over here. So okay, I said, okay, so I get this from me, but if you want me to share this with other women, what about the women that are going to say, well, my husband is this, and that. I am not submitting to him. How do I answer that? And I heard the reply, and it was, well, if they have some beef with their husband, paraphrasing right now, then I want them to submit to me. If they feel that they can't submit to their husband, then have them and tell them to submit to me, meaning God. And I'm like, and it clicked. If you're in a line of work, and you have a supervisor, and then you have your boss, and there's a situation that's happening, and you overlooked your supervisor, and you went straight to your boss and say, hey, this going on. And your boss is supposed to say to you, well, did you speak to your supervisor about that? And if you say no, immediately your boss points you back to your supervisor. And so same thing, God is asking for those who feel they can't submit to their husband, submit to him. And in return, he's going to show you how to submit to your husband in showing the fruit of the spirits, the fruits of the spirit. And that's long suffering, love, kindness, patience, temperance, all those things that we don't apply because we so stuck on, you ain't my daddy. You are not my daddy. No, you're not. I am grown. Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead. Okay, yes. The question is, how do you feel? I know you have a lot of patience, you do. And I thank God for that. And you have a lot of patience where I lack. And there's times where I'm going to call it like a ring and we're in a fight because there's things that you would like of me or request of me or desire from me, but because of whatever I'm in my funk or I'm not feeling that or don't want to do that, I fight against you. How, as a man, even though you may not really feel that way because you're easy to let things go, how would it make a man feel? And he's asking his wife to do something, and it's not immoral, it's not jumping off of a bridge, it's not going to cause them to lose their life or anything, and he just wants him to he just wants her to trust him as you do to me. How does it make a man feel when that doesn't happen?
Well, I will feel at the end of the day, what I get from that is that the wife don't trust the husband. The wife is not respecting the husband. Now, even though the wife agrees or don't agree, if he's not asking her to jump off a bridge, go rob a bank, and stuff like that, that she should submit to what he's trying to do. Now, if she agree or don't agree, she should still go along with it. And that's how it should come down to. But I feel, as a man, disrespected that you don't trust me enough to trust me enough to believe in me that I got things under control.
And as as feeling that way, how can that cause you to react with me? How would it change your reaction or your behavior with me if you feel I'm constantly going against you? I'm constantly not, taking your advice or your counsel or your request and applying that.
I mean, it could lead to a dangerous area, and the name of that is called resentment because of it. And now I could be like, man, you want to act that way, I'm gonna do my thing regardless. Don't care what you're talking about, and move on, move forward. And that sometimes pushes the husband away and get to an area where he's all, he's just like, it doesn't make a difference anymore how you're acting. It's like he's used to it now, like whatever. And now he has this attitude, and now he's treating you a way that like, whoa, where did this come from? But it came from, of course, not allowing him to lead and to feel like he's being disrespected. And if you don't respect the man's gonna kind of push you away slowly. It's gonna push you away.
Wow. That's deep. I learned that there's times that we don't have answered prayers, and especially in those in a marriage relationship that you're praying for, because God is not honoring that request or that prayer because there's things that he's requiring of us that we're not abiding to, and we're not submitting to him. We are to submit to God and as his authority, and also apply that submission in our relationships one to another. And by not doing that, we're causing frictions in our relationship, and God is wanting us to work those things out, and before he can answer certain prayers in our lives. And I remember a preacher said, if you're not seeing the results of the fruits of your prayer request, check what you're doing. Check if there's something that you're not being obedient to God. And as it relates to here as the wife, and getting the revelation as some things I wanted answered and not seeing the fruits of it, I paid attention to what the preacher said. And I went to go evaluate and examine my relation in the home. Is there things that I was doing or needed to do that God is asking me to do as submitting? And I found submitting is something that can be worked out in me. So as I studied different scriptures about, don't become weary in doing good. Do as if you're doing it to God. And there's an authority that we should submit to. I even have found in conversations with friends of mine that were married or are married, that their job or their boss is like the devil themselves. But they have no issue of submitting, meaning that they submit, even though the job is about to give them a heart attack and the boss is about to cause them to go, lose all their hair. They still submit. But when it comes inside the home, there is a resistance in submitting. They'll submit to the boss at work, but in the home, and as it relates to the husband, they're quicker to resist and attack than they would do their boss that's giving them double double hockey sticks. Hell. So I'm saying that it's something really to study. As I study submission and what God is asking of me, and how it relates to my husband, and how he promised that if I do my part, there will be benefits from it, whether it's answered prayer, whether there's a change in my husband's character, or maybe not change in his character, but peace in the home. As I study submission, I'm like, wow, so that's okay. I know there's areas I'm not submitting, and with Ralph, where I could, not fight him against it and just go with it, just go with it. And even still, it was a struggle. Did I realize, okay, this is going to take some prayer and daily prayer and a conscious prayer, because I still got self, in me, that resistance, that rebellious spirit that we're all built in. Some might have mastered it better than others. But as it relates to here, because there's so much that husbands have to do as well and apply, and prayerfully Ralph would do a video just focusing on men loving their wives. But that whole respecting your husband, submitting to your husband, does take a daily work, a daily application with prayer, because that whole resistance to like, you ain't my daddy and I can do what I want to do and I don't want to do that. You don't purposely try, but that spirit is there. And so I ask everyone every woman, every wife to be, every wife, in regards to whether you're in, this is for single and married, learning to submit to God, that you find it easy to submit to your spouse, because by submitting to God, you will eventually be submitting to your spouse. So I want to quickly, Ralph, as you go ahead and share your thought, and I'll end with the text that we can share.
Yeah, I just want to get my 2 cents in that, ladies, be mindful when you choose a mate. Seek God through the Holy Spirit to reveal to you who you should marry. Don't get caught up in because he's this and he's that. But really, by prayer, see God what's best for you. I just want to share with you what my pastor from another church, Pastor Keith Craft from Elevate Life Church, he says something very, very, very vital. And it goes like this. He said that marriage is 2 funerals and 1 resurrection. I'm going to say it again so you can download. A marriage is 2 funerals and 1 resurrection. So think about, that means that you have to die to self, and then you become one with your husband. So he died to himself, she died to herself, but then he's the leader. That's why you need to make sure that the man that you want to marry, that he's a man of God and he's confident and someone that you're willing to put your faith and your trust in to lead the way. Because if you said I do and he's not that man, not to say it can't work out, but it's going to have you build your character, and you would have to pray to God for that strength to overcome the things that he does.
Okay, submissions, ladies. Woo. I mean, I would love to go deep with it, but I don't want to make the videos too long. But if you don't mind it, please message me. But here are some scriptures that you can just read and ask God, help me in submission. I'm telling you, you will need the help in regards to that dying of self. Lord of mercy. So here it is, Galatians 6:9. That's a verse to read. And Colossians 3:23 and 24. And you can actually read Colossians 3:22 through 25. Another verse, I would say 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1, where it says, even if he ain't acting right, he's unruly, he's ungodly, by your conduct and your speech, you can have a change wrought in him. So he's putting it on us and how we speak. So we need prayer in our lives. We need to be praying in regards to helping us help our husband as a helpmate. 1 Timothy chapter 2, 9 through 15. Proverbs 31, the virtuous woman. Ephesians 6, 11 through 19. James 4, 7 and 8. 1 Peter 5, 5 through 10. And Ephesians 4, 26 and 32. And of course, what Ralph read, Ephesians 5, the 22 to 33. You can read the whole thing. And 1 Timothy 5, 14 and 15. These are scriptures that would help you in understanding what is God's requirements and as it relates to submitting. And God has already promised that if you do good, as if you're doing it to him, you will reap the benefits, whether it's peace in the home, a changed spouse, whether it's wives to husband or husband to wives. God has a promise for us, and if we trust him. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be overnight and this is like easy sailing. It is prayer. I mean prayer, that fight of, submitting to God and all his requirements when you feel like you don't have to, you shouldn't, or they need to act right first. God didn't say there's a stipulation, oh, do this if they do that. And the Christian walk, the marriage relations, it is a fight to die to self, so there can be that oneness with God and that oneness with your spouse. That's the mission, boy. I would love to go in deeper. I probably might give my own testimony later on, just women to women, but study that. And then hopefully Ralph will do one with just the husbands loving the wives and how that's important. But respect. This is Maricia Anglade and
Ralph Heaven Schiller Anglade, and we are God's power couple.